It's Bart living in Ventura County, and today I'm really excited because we have Doug Halter, the Deputy Mayor of Ventura, and also Dr. Sanchez-Palacios, the new Mayor of Ventura. So welcome, guys. What is a pressing issue, the most pressing issue going on right now in Ventura in your minds?
Thank you for having us and for the invitation to be a part of your show. Yeah, the most pressing issue, I think, because we just got back from DC, has to be what's happening at the national level and how it's impacting our local city. We all rely on state and federal money that helps us put together and put through programs that provide social services, infrastructure, and that provide funding that will maintain our cities and help them be sustainable. And so the trip to DC just recently was part of the National League of Cities, where all the cities throughout the United States have the opportunity to go to Washington, DC, talk to their local legislators, let them know how funding is being taken away and how that impacts the services that we want to provide. And for us, Ventura Water Pure has been an insurmountable, huge project that we've all been looking to see that it's successfully brought to fruition. We have already been awarded $90 million of federal grant money that we were told will be coming to us. But those are the conversations that we go up there to make sure that, hey, we're really going to need this money. If we don't have this money, we're going to be in dire straits. And so it was very encouraging to hear directly from the Bureau of Reclamation. This Ventura Water Pure project is being seen as a model, is being seen as a leader in changing and adapting to the changes in our climate, in our area. Just a little bit of background. The city of Ventura is one of the very few cities that we still rely on local groundwater as a resource. We are not to the state water pipeline. We rely on the river, we rely on wells. And so if we have yet another drought, another incident that prevents us from accessing our natural water resources, we will be in trouble. So Ventura Water Pure is one of the solutions that our staff have been working on for many years already. So again, just encouraging to hear back from folks at the national level telling us that this project is very important to them, that they want to make sure that this project also comes to fruition for us, and that we are being looked at as a model and a leader in this area. So that was very encouraging.
You know, so much of what we do to be effective is all about relationships. It's about working with other jurisdictions. And the challenges of today are going to take a lot of interjurisdictional work, and water is one of them. And so to the credit of our staff and our ability to deliver on promises and on grants that we received in the past, we help solidify that as city leaders by showing that we know what we're doing, that we're passionate, and we know that this is a good path for our community to take.
Right. Just so you could give us a little background on that Water Pure project, is that about also treating water that's released, or is it about both sides then, the water that we're getting to drink, the sewage?
It's a purification reclamation facility, and where, yes, the sewage water is treated and then can be reused. And, you know, the term is not a fun term. It's known as toilet to tap, but it really is a purification process, and where everything that's not good is taken out, everything that's good is left in. And you're beginning to see these types of facilities being built all throughout. And it does have a very high price tag to it, but it doesn't compare to, I think, what will bring us in the future: stability, security, ensuring that we can have a reliable source of water in the long run.
I see, by actually being able to reuse.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Oh, okay. Is it literally then that water that gets treated does end up coming back to their kitchen?
It can, once the facility is up and running. Yes, that's what it would do.
Okay.
And that would be 20 to 25% of our water resource. We will still continue to have water from our wells, our rivers, and whatnot, but this is an additional source that we can get from.
Okay. And did you guys have any concerns then with all the cuts that are going on at the federal level that would end up affecting Ventura?
Absolutely. That was a big part of the trip to DC this time is there's so much uncertainty. And I know as a business owner that uncertainty is death to a lot of us. With all that said, what we heard from most staff is that they are doing everything they can to make sure that their departments are continuing to function and provide the absolutely essential services that are needed. And I know this project is considered one of them with the type of growth we're seeing, with the severe droughts that we witnessed, where we know the future is going to be longer, drier periods with short, wet periods. We have to do better in making sure that we can continue to prosper and grow in the West. And this is one way we can guarantee 20 to 25% of our water forever.
Sounds critical for sure. Okay, other hot topics in Ventura is one I'd like to bring up that we hear from our clients all the time and people who are interested in moving to Ventura is the Pedestrian Mall. Could you give us a little update on what's going on?
In reality, we stumbled upon this because of COVID, right? And it gave us, for the first time, a real plaza type environment for people to gather. And many cities across the world have that such environment, and it's proven to be something that overwhelmingly people at large love. Our key, though, is making sure that it's good for business, that it's good for the property owners, and it's great for our community, and great for the future of this community. And I'm excited about the opportunity now that we made it through some of the hurdles with the environmental reviews and so forth to really make it all that it can be with the ballards and the parklets looking professional and exciting and represent Ventura in the best way. And also things like ADA accessibility. That was always going to be the next step. It just took a couple years to go through the process and the reviews that were necessary from a governmental standpoint. So we're excited at the potential that this can bring to our city. Events, use of Main Street and California Street, the stage there. Yeah. It's so much potential for us to invigorate and add to the prosperity of downtown.
There's still a lot of things to figure out. This step was simply the first step into letting us explore. We want to make sure that there's some uniformity to it. We've heard from both businesses and visitors in downtown that we need to do something about the aesthetic, and we couldn't do any of that without voting one way or the other, whether we were going to keep it closed permanently or reopen it. And we went through a process of looking at different options, whether we did a hybrid model. And in the end, it was a majority vote. Not everyone voted in favor of it, but it was a majority vote to keep Main Street closed and open only to pedestrians. And so now our staff has had the opportunity to start looking into the cost of bollards, what kind of bollards, looking at what kind of parklets do we want to have for the businesses. And so again, making that decision, it merely allowed us now to move on to the next step. There's nothing that we have decided on in terms of what it's going to look like. All of that will continue to come back to the council for decisions to be made. And right now, Main Street Moves, it had an ad hoc committee where a couple of our council members whose district encompasses downtown were a part of this ad hoc committee. And now that we've decided to permanently close it, that ad hoc committee, it became sort of a permanent talking piece for our economic development committee that is open to the public and people can come and do public comment. So every time the economic development committee meets, the public will be able to come and hear an update on Main Street Moves and where that's going.
Could you explain to you those ballards? Are those the things that block and the parklet? Could you talk about those just a little?
Yes. So the bollards are, yes, those like metal things that they come in different forms. They can go into the ground, like come out above ground and then go back down into ground. There's that option. And then there's the ones that you just build and you have there 100% all the time. Yeah. And so there's a variation of those, but that's what they are, to keep pedestrians safe, essentially, because where the pedestrian mall would begin and end, there will be some traffic, I guess, perpendicular to the street, and that we want to make sure that pedestrians are kept safe and that feel safe as well. And something else I wanted to add real quick, we absolutely want to make sure that all businesses flourish and succeed in this new model. And part of what we can now do is start thinking about and start creating a plan with our partners in downtown of what kind of events do we want to hold? What kind of staging do we want to do? And what it all involves. And so again, we are now in a phase that we can start looking at those options and start making some decisions about, do we want to have a calendar of events of things that are going to be happening in downtown so that people know ahead of time, things like that. We're excited. We want to make sure that it works for everyone, and we want to make it successful for everybody.
That's fantastic. In the parklets too, could you talk about that a
Mhm.
little?
If you'd like me to, Mayor, I'd be
Sure,
happy to.
go ahead.
The parklets right now is kind of a mishmash of whatever business owners wanted to have, because it's the business owners that's been paying for that. And we have some standards that we approved that still give a lot of flexibility to be creative, but should all look to be the type of quality that we see on some of them already. So just a little bit more similarity, and safety and things taken into consideration. So we call the parklets itself is where people dine. That's what they call them, parklets.
Yeah.
The one other thing I wanted to mention, though, that I'm personally very excited about is in addressing the safety needs of downtown, because so much of downtown, this is our cultural arts district for our city. And we do have a lot of nightlife. We have arts, theater, and everything else downtown. So you have to make sure that the space stays safe and that we give our law enforcement and public safety as much means as possible to access where there might be a potential for trouble. And so starting soon, I think before summer, there's police departments getting horses that they'll be on horseback. And it's a way to walk the street, but in a safer way and a faster way, getting from A to B with the streets closed. Now, they can always park on the side streets on the nearest spot of the entrance. But if they're walking the mall already, then you'll be seeing horseback there, which I think in itself would be a pretty neat draw and a reflection of our past.
That sounds really great. Another issue that we hear people asking about a lot is road maintenance. Is there anything that you'd like to say about that, your plan for road maintenance?
Did you want me to start off, Madam Mayor?
Sure.
Okay,
Yes.
I appreciate it. Is when it comes to the condition of our roads, this is such a big topic. It's the first thing that we always hear from our constituents. And honestly, as citizens here in our own city, we also see it, is the fact that our streets are not really of the condition that we would all want to see them. And a big part of that has been for many years, we've been short funds. We had to decide on what services we were going to cut and what Band-Aids we needed to put on our infrastructure. Being a 160-year-old city, a lot of it is really showing that it needs a lot more attention. And we've done that through budgeting. We've tried to do whatever we could, but to add money to streets and roads and sidewalks and urban forests means we're taking it from someplace else. Ventura has never really been a city that has a tremendous amount of excess cash to do things with. But we've added 30% to our budget last year and the year before to what was normally the normal maintenance budget. We even added $8 million more last year to try to get a boost on the deferred maintenance that happened. And finally, this is where I really love to say that everything's connected, and it comes down to economic vitality and prosperity and offering the most prosperous future for the city that we possibly can in a way that enhances what we love about Ventura and doesn't take away from what we love about Ventura. So the key is not stopping investment and stopping the housing that we need from being built. The key is doing these things that would create the prosperity, that would give us the revenues that we need to have the infrastructure and streets at the level that we all really desire to have.
Is part of that process then, I'm guessing that you're thinking of ways to increase job growth and revenue for the city. Is that right?
Yeah.
Attracting businesses.
Exactly right. Economic development has to be paramount because we know that when you look at the trends that we've been on in the city with the fact that lack of affordability, which is across the state and in other desirable places in this country, the lack of affordability, the lack of housing, that we are severely short on the housing that we should have had by now over the last 15 years. So building it in a way that reflects our values as a community, in a way that complements our neighborhoods. And some of the projects being built don't do that as well as we would want them to. Okay. But You have to have a way for young people to stay here for us to be sustainable. When you see so many of our youth leaving our community, not because they want to often, but because they can't afford to be here. And then bringing those jobs here when we have 73% of our workforce commuting outside of Ventura for work, when we're one of California's original cities, that's not a healthy position for us to be. Those jobs should be right here in Ventura, and because this is where their employees are at. So there's a lot we could do to encourage the economic vitality that we desperately need. And we're working hard on that.
I just wanted to give you a perspective because our deputy mayor is talking about how the economic aspect is tied to the type of services that we can deliver as a city. And just to give you an idea, a mile of paving, it equates to about $1 million, if not more, dollars. So, and we have hundreds of miles within our city. So if we want to pave and repave all these streets, we have to make sure that we have the money to be able to fund that. And another of that is at the state level, there are cities that tax themselves and then have matching funds from the state to give them money for roads, transportation, and that sort of thing. City of Ventura is one of the cities that does not do that. And so we leave money on the table. And it's not just the city of Ventura, but it's the entire county that does not take part in that. And so we end up leaving money on the table from the state because we have zero money to match. And so those are a couple of financial perspectives that I hope people can understand. There's a reason why we're not able to pave every single street immediately or right away, but we do have a plan of our roads and transportation plan of paving that can be accessed through our website that will tell you what streets staff is working on, where the needs are. And then, of course, if there's a street that needs repair, there's a way to residents let the city know.
That's fantastic. So does it sound like you will try to move forward with matching money with the state to take advantage of that?
At this point, it has to be a county-wide effort. So us as the city alone would not be able to do that. They've tried to pass a twice before, and it has failed because people do see it as yet another tax that they don't want to pay for. But this last time, I think it lost by a few points. So I'm not sure if anyone's going to try to carry that again at the county level.
Well, Bart, if I could, is that what couples with this, with the roads and transportation, is the multi-modes of transportation. Okay, things like biking or walking, or in the condition of the sidewalks, in the condition of the streets, and having the bike paths. And as we do have housing coming into our community to satisfy a deep need, we're doing everything we can to link transportation modes with those areas that may be more dense in our community, so that we don't have the negative impact of the cars and the traffic. And a lot of that is being looked at by VCTC, Ventura County Transportation. And as a matter of fact, one exciting piece is the Santa Paula Rail Corridor from Ventura to Fillmore to Peru is being looked at, is already planned and funded through a grant to do a bike path, similar to what we have going to Ojai. So we're trying to give people options, trying to stay ahead of the curve with transportation options and making sure that our roads and any options we have for transportation are quality and safe and easy to use.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds great.
And electric vehicles are heavier, so that also impacts our roads and streets.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So
has to be taken into consideration at some point.
Yeah, I'm really curious to know about what you talked about with economic development. Are there other things that you wanted to mention with that category as well?
Yeah, just there's so many things that can happen in the city of Ventura. It's about taking the bull by the horns and making them happen and encouraging them to happen. Some projects would be, of course, Main Street moves, extrapolating on that and making that all that it can be to reason for people to shop and be a part of our economic vitality that we offer in our community. We went out for a request for interest on the parking garage at the beach and seeing what potential project can take over a space where aging parking structure that's at an end of its life could offer to our community. So we're waiting for that. That will come back in June. We also have a Levis Park extension, which we funded after being on our capital improvements plan for 41 years, that can offer businesses that wouldn't find a place in most parts of Ventura, that could definitely add to economic vitality in the tax base of Ventura. So we could have the services we need and desire. There's a housing project being proposed, as a lot of people know. It keeps getting reduced in size, but it's still sizable up there off of Alexandra, there by Seaward. That could add a lot of vitality to our community and revenues. I mentioned briefly about the cultural arts is a major economic generator. For every dollar you spend in cultural arts, $7 to $16 gets returned to your community. A lot of people don't realize that. Being big on the arts and culture of our community already attracts tens of thousands of people to our community. So capitalizing on that, as well as things like the botanical gardens and what's happening up there with their phase 2, which would be including things like outdoor meadow for entertainment and concerts and for education. So they've done a wonderful job in the last 20 years to providing a new asset to our community. And it's getting to the point that it's going to be very exciting to see what happens next. Trade Desk. Trade Desk was a homegrown company and a business incubator. The council members of the past started that up, had the foresight to do so. And a company that when the two gentlemen went public a few years back, they were put on Wall Street and they immediately became worth about $2 billion company with approximately 3,500 people worldwide. They will be putting their headquarters in Ventura. All those are pretty exciting.
Yeah, is that the old Bank of America building? Is that correct that they're expanding into?
They just purchase that and they'll be expanding into that building as well. I just wanted to mention real quick, when the deputy mayor and I were selected by our colleagues to be mayor and deputy mayor, we made a commitment to put ourselves out there, to do the outreach to the community and not just expect the community to come to us. And so the moment that we were selected mayor and deputy mayor, we announced that we were going to be doing Get the Scoop with the mayor and deputy mayor. And that essentially involves having ice cream and talking about issues that matter to people. And we started doing that, hit the ground running in January. We were named mayor and deputy mayor in December. We hit the ground running in January, and we've been doing one every month. We have our next one coming up March 29th at Mr. Softy's on Telegraph. And again, it's an opportunity for us to be able to talk to the residents, go to the residents in their neighborhood where they feel most comfortable, and just have a casual, fun conversation in a setting that's not threatening to them, that's not threatening to us, and that we can just have, a casual conversation as neighbors, because at the end of the day, we're all neighbors. We all live in the city. We love the city, and we want to see it prosper. So for me, that was very important as the mayor to make sure that people felt that I was accessible to them, and that they can reach out to either one of us to come with their frustrations, their concerns, or share their progress and how they see that the city's moving. So I feel very fortunate to have Doug Halter as the deputy mayor, because I feel like we team up really well, where we're almost in tune, almost reading each other's mind of, let's do this, let's do that. And so being out there in the community has been a big concern of, we've heard a lot of lack of trust, lack of government, lack of transparency in government. And we want to make sure that we break that, because it starts with us, right? And we can make the difference that we want to see. So that's what we've been doing, and we will continue to do it. When we run out of ice cream shops to go to, we're going to start the Let's Taco About It, where we're going to invite people for tacos. And we're going to instead be having maybe late lunch or early dinners with folks, just to, again, continue that camaraderie and that opportunity to sit down and have a meal with one another.
That's great. Was there a link or something for we could put it on the show more section of the videos?
We don't have a link, but I can share the flyer with you.
Okay.
And if you can post that would be great, because Doug and I are a 2-man, 2-woman team.
Exactly.
We do this. We do this on our own. This isn't
Yeah.
being paid for by taxpayer dollars or anything. The
No.
city is not pushing this. It's him and I. I'm the one who creates the flyers. I'm the
Yeah.
one who goes to the businesses and asks, hey, this is what we're doing. Do you mind doing it? And McConnell's was our first one, and they were so gracious. They gave away they gave away ice cream to the first 50 people who showed up. The other one was Coastal Cone and Parlor
Yeah.
in at the harbor. They gave away 50 I think it was kid size scoops of ice cream as well. So the community has been embracing it, and the business owners have been very gracious. Mr. Softy was like, absolutely, we want to do this. So we really appreciate it. But this is all our work. This is
Yeah.
not the city paying for it. This is Doug and Jeannette as citizens,
Mhm.
residents of Ventura doing this.
That's
I
so
can-
great. Yeah, we'll definitely promote that. I just want to thank you both so much for joining me and getting this information out there.
Well, I gotta
Definitely.
tell
Thank you for reaching out.
Yeah.
you, anytime. Happy to talk to you anytime you need us. And it's all about communicating. It's all about gaining the trust and making sure that we're all working together, having to create the best future for our community that we're all so passionate about.